God save our gracious Queen. Long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Sent her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
Thank you, Jada. Okay, up next we have two more Bodden Town beauties. This is Anna Kay and her sister Tia, and they will lead us in the national song. Please stand.
O land of soft, fresh breezes, O verdant trees so fair, with thy Creator's glory reflected everywhere. O sea of palest emerald, merging to darkest blue. Whene'er my thoughts fly onward, I always think of you. Dear verdant island set in blue Caribbean sea, I'm coming, coming very soon. Oh, beauteous isles to thee. Although I wandered far, my heart enshrines the end. Homeland fair Cayman Isles, I cannot thee forget.
Thank you, Anna Kay and Tia. That's probably the best rendition I've ever heard of that song. Okay, at this time, we welcome to the stage Mr. Jonathan Piercy. He's another candidate for the Cayman Democratic Party. Please welcome him to the stage. Okay, our next speaker tonight is, come on up to the stage. I'll actually let him introduce himself. He's a young man from the district of West Bay, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, and he's just going to give a small testimony or endorsement. Welcome to the stage, sir.
Good night, everybody. My name is Michael Jefferson. I'm from West Bay. I came here tonight because I'm really concerned about the future for the young people. So far, I really see no future because when we get out of school, other than go to the beach and go to Cayman Bay, we have nothing else to do, right? Every little thing we try to pick up, they try to take it from us. We're trying to run from violence, but really and truly, that's all we have to turn to. I would like to thank Mr. Bush on 100% level because him and everyone else who had anything to do with the Superior Order Program, of which I obtained a certificate that is recognized worldwide. I am now a business owner and I'm also working separate. All of this is thanks to the support we got from Mr. Bush and the others who supported us. The program continued under the present government, but was closed for training since 2006. 2016, sorry. This program, to me, should be reinstated because this is something that gives you a trade. A tradesman will never run out of work, right? Before, when I didn't have a trade, I would look to criminal activities to raise money to feed myself or feed whoever I had to feed. Now that I have this trade under my belt, I don't have to go to criminal activities. Every weekend, I have a car to fix. Every day, I have a job to go to. Every week, I have money coming in from my business and from my trade. We have a lot of other graduates who are now working with Water Authority, Cayman Airways, GT Automotive, Prestige Motors, Tony's Toys, Superior Auto, Napa, Advanced Automotive, CUC, and a few others. The program is a hands-on and written program, right? I was a person that I didn't graduate from school because I didn't like books. When it came to reading and stuff like that, I would run. I would make any excuse just not to do my homework. Where instead of me not having anything because I do not have a diploma, it's hard to get a job as it is with one. Joining this program, like I said, gave me a lot. It made me into somebody today that I can be happy to tell my son I'm his father. Right? We need to ensure that the people we put in power are people who have nothing but good intentions for the future and for the youth. Because at the end of the day, the youth is our future. And by that, like I said, I would love to thank Mr. Bush and everyone else who had hands in for giving me a chance to live in a good life. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, if that wasn't one of the most powerful testimonies that you've ever heard, I don't know what is. You know, over the past several months, I have witnessed these two candidates work tirelessly and effortlessly to get their message and the vision to the people of Bodden Town, East and West. During this time, we've gone door to door, sometimes reacquainting with old friends and family, and sometimes making new friends. You all have welcomed us into your home and shared your stories, many of suffering and hardships. Our people are hurting. Some are hungry, and these politicians are just passing out candies. They're just making empty promises and excuses. Don't be fooled by this. They're simply buying more time. We deserve more than empty words and promises. 4 years is too long a time to not put your people first. There are people in this very same crowd tonight who will leave here and go home after this meeting, go to a home with no electricity, no running water, no gas in the car, no lunch money for the children tomorrow. The refreshments being served here tonight will be the only meal that some of them have eaten all day. Do you know what it feels like to not have a job and not be able to provide for your family? When you have to look into your children's eyes and tell them there's nothing to eat? It's a crying shame that Caymanians cannot afford to live a comfortable life in our own country. Some of us work 2 and 3 jobs just to survive, and we still don't have enough to make ends meet. Some of us can work our whole entire lives and never be able to afford to own our own home. Those of us that are lucky enough to afford one will eventually have to subpart it up and rent pieces out or rent the whole thing out and move in with elderly parents to become a burden on them. What quality of life is this? All we do as Caymanians is work to pay bills and then die. The current government has failed us miserably. We are no better off today than we were 4 years ago. In fact, we are worse. It's time for change, Cayman. It's time that we put Caymanians first. You need to vote Cayman Democratic Party for these people up here who are going to work to put Caymanians first again. At this time, I'm going to call Sean Morgan to the stage, and he will introduce the next speaker.
How you doing, Bodden Town East? Now, before I introduce Mr. Stafford Berry, good? I would like to touch on what Mr. Michael Jefferson said. He said that we need a party that looks out for the youth. Well, I can tell you right now that I am a part of a branch of the CDP that is dedicated to representing the youth. The YCDP, Young Caymanian Democratic Party. Now, Mr. Stafford Matthew Berry, he was raised here in Bodden Town. In 1985, he graduated from the Cayman Islands High School. He studied air traffic service at the Barbados School of Air Traffic Control. He studied business administration at the University College of the Cayman Islands and economics at Brock University in Canada. He has continued professional development, which includes membership in the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments and the Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners, and an executive certificate in global leadership. Stafford has also completed his certificate as a private pilot. His experience in the aviation industry spans 2 decades, having served in various capacities at the Cayman Islands Airports Authority, including air traffic controller, supervisor, and instructor, as well as an internal auditor. He is currently employed in the financial services industry as a compliance project specialist focusing on UK, USA, FATCA, and common reporting standards, policy and risk assessments. He is also an entrepreneur. He has managed numerous companies focusing on property development, construction services, as well as business development. A staunch community supporter and avid participant in various sporting activities, he especially enjoys serving as a volunteer coach for the Special Olympics in the Cayman Islands. He is a man who has been called too nice to be a politician. But it is his love for his country that draws people like me, his committee that are here tonight with us, his supporters from Bodden Town West that have come here tonight. Please put your hands together for Mr. Stafford Berry.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Party supporters, my fellow Bodden Tongers, fellow candidates and committee members. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here with you again this evening to offer my support to my political colleague and fellow Bodden Tonger, Mr. Robert Bodden, and to those of you who has friends, relatives, and who can vote in the constituents of Bodden Town West. I am also seeking your support in the upcoming general election on May 24, 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, running as a candidate is a profound decision. A decision no one should make on the basis of media hype or personal ambitions alone. And before I committed myself and my family to this race, I wanted to be sure that this was right for us, and more importantly, right for the country. Over the past few weeks, I've been asked the question, and that is, why should I vote for you? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm compelled to answer this question only to say that I want to make sure that every citizen in this country have the same opportunities. I also care about the less fortunate, about workers having a collective voice in the workplace, about having our senior citizens getting the care they need. I want to be the voice for those that can speak for themselves. I want to be an advocate on their behalf, one that stands up and fight for justice and do the right thing, even if it's convenient or uncomfortable. The Bible says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless and see that they get justice. Proverbs 31 verses 8 and 9. But most of all, ladies and gentlemen, I truly care about you. One of my goals is to develop a senior citizen program. The program will ensure that all senior citizens and persons who have reached retirement age have access to proper health care, legal aid, a senior citizen discount card, and an electronic benefit transfer debit card. Similar to a debit card that can be used similar like cash to pay for food at the local supermarkets. The program will also find work for individuals who have reached retirement age and are still willing to work. I will work with the Cayman Democratic Party to eliminate the inconvenience of seniors having to travel to Jamaica for U.S. visas, either by having a member of the United States consulate team visit the island monthly or by mailing the application to the U.S. Embassy. Further, I would like to add that the Cayman Democratic Party is committed to increasing the financial assistance for the elderly, disabled, seamen, and veterans from $550 to 1,000 Cayman Islands dollars per month, subject to a means assessment. I will also work with the Cayman Democratic Party to secure at least 100 scholarships annually for persons residing in the District of Bodden Town. These scholarships will be a combination of both local and international scholarship. I will also work with my colleague from the Cayman Democratic Party to implement a scholarship program to be called the Cayman Islands Students Assistance Program. This program will assist Caymanian students whose family has an annual household income of less than $50,000. The benefit of this program is that anyone who qualifies will receive 100% funding for all study-related expenses, including a monthly subsistence, so that the student can support themselves at a minimum level. Once this program is implemented, I envision at least 20 scholarships under this program will be earmarked for both Bodden Town East and Bodden Town West. In an effort to reduce crime, I will work closely with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service to ensure adequate policing is done throughout the constituents of Bodden Town East and West. I will also promote and support the current neighborhood crime watch programs that currently exist and advocate for more to be established in the surrounding areas, and encourage partnerships within the community whereby police officers can work closely with the local citizens and community agencies in designing and implementing a variety of crime prevention strategies and problem-solving measures. In order to achieve the tasks laid out at the district level, I, along with the Cayman Islands Democratic Party, is committed to establishing a district council in the District of Bodden Town in accordance with the 2009 Constitution, which provides for an advisory council, which will act as an advisory body to the elected member of the Legislative Assembly. In addition to what was mentioned earlier, the Cayman Islands Democratic Party has set out 15 core principles for making the Cayman Islands a better place, whilst building a strong and sustainable economy, at the same time ensuring the preservation of our tradition and heritage, protection of our people, our environment, as well as maintenance of the core value of honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability, and good governance. These core principles range from putting the interests of Caymanians first, educating and training of Caymanians, ensuring a fair working wage for all, empowering the youths, protecting the poor, the elderly, the disabled, and the disadvantaged, just to name a few. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, our economy is changing rapidly, and that means profound change for hard-working men and women. Unemployment is becoming more frequent amongst Caymanians, and employers are making Caymanians redundant for frivolous reasons. Our immigration and labor laws need to be strengthened, and Caymanians are living from hand to mouth. Today, families are unhappy, even worried about themselves and their future. Some people can't pay their mortgage, and most young people can't afford one. Where students can't afford the education they need, and the middle-class parents watch the dream they hold for their children evaporate. Our families are in distress. We cannot hesitate and we cannot delay. Our families can't afford to keep on waiting and hoping for a solution. They can't afford to watch another month of unpaid bills pile up. They cannot afford to watch another month of unpaid bills pile up, another semester of tuition slip out of reach, another month where instead of saving for retirement, they dip into their savings just to get by. We also recognize that an increasing number of Caymanians are losing their homes because of difficulties complying with their mortgage obligations. Today, there are more families living below the poverty line than ever before. More families are in trouble, more and more people who need help but can't find it. Even worse, our elderly struggle on a daily basis and cannot afford the basic needs. Like the senior citizen who I met, who is sick and can't afford medical attention, I must say loud and clear that help is on its way. The Cayman Democratic will reinstate the mortgage assistance program, ensuring that as many homeowners as possible are able to save their homes from foreclosure. This will be a priority for the new Cayman Democratic Party government, and as such, we will provide immediate assistance to those affected, including collaborating with the local banks and other financial institutions to restructure these loans and save Caymanian homes. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cayman Democratic Party share in your pains and in your success, sharing of benefits and the burden for the good of all, feeling one another's pain, sharing one another's blessing, reasonably, honestly, fairly, without respect to race or sex or geographic or political affiliations. We speak for the middle class, the people not rich enough to be worry-free, but not poor enough to be on welfare. The middle class, those people who work for a living because they have to, not because someone told them it was a convenient way to fill the intervals between birth and eternity. Young professionals, men and women in small businesses, desperate for the capital and contracts that they need to prove their worth. We speak for the young people demanding an education and a future. We speak for senior citizens. We speak for senior citizens who are terrified by the idea that their pension is not enough to sustain them. I believe and recognize that at the center of the matter, we are connected one to another. That the problem of a retired school teacher is our problem, and that the struggles of a disabled man and woman to survive and live decently is also our struggle. That the hunger of a woman, her children, and her senior citizens is also our hunger. But challenging as they are, it is not the magnitude of our problems that concerns me the most. It's the smallness of our politics. We have to change our policies and come together around our common interests and concerns. Bodden Tongers, I say to you tonight that this would happen by itself. A change in our politics can only come from you, from people across our country who believe there is a better way and are willing to work for it. So, in the midst of the enormous challenges we face today, I have great confidence and hope about the future, because I believe in each and every one of you. Fellow Bodden Tongers, I say to you tonight, we have work to do. Ladies and gentlemen, it is widely accepted that the current minimum wage is too low. However, the Cayman Democratic Party wants to ensure a fair working wage for all. Everyone who is legitimately employed in the Cayman Islands, irrespective of which industry, should be guaranteed a livable wage. A fair wage should at the very least cover the worker and his family's basic needs and provide enough for at least a modest discretionary income. The Cayman Democratic Party is also committed to working with our business leaders and partners who share these values to ensure that these minimum standards are achieved and adhered to by all. As a party, we are equally committed to reducing the cost of living. Ladies and gentlemen, as a government, I will work with my colleagues, Cayman Democratic Party, to increase the duty allowance for all Caymanian residents returning home from international travel. The increase will be from 350 Cayman Islands dollars per person to 500 Cayman Islands dollars per person. When elected, I will work with my colleagues to develop a comprehensive small business program. The mission of the small business program is to foster job creation and support the growth of new and existing businesses by providing capacity building information, funding, tools, and resources. My main focus, however, is to develop and empower small businesses in order to strengthen their businesses. My main focus, however, is to develop and empower small businesses in order to strengthen their business capacity, capabilities, and serviceability. I also know this, that right now, somewhere in this island, a small business is at work with the next big idea, where an entrepreneur is drafting plans for the startup that will transform an industry. And as your representative, my goal is to keep these ambitions alive. The new Cayman Democratic Party will promote and protect the nation's financial service industry to ensure that the industry remains viable and sustainable in a changing and more competitive and regulated environment. We will upgrade and expand the National Tourism Management Plan, promote more investment, attempt to open new markets, seek new airlift, and improve training of Caymanians to expand and enhance the tourism industry. The Cayman Democratic Party will revisit the current pension law and make any amendments necessary for the benefit of the citizens of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, this may be a very controversial subject amongst politicians, and it is term limits. But I feel that is a conversation that has to be had with you, the people. And I want to be the first candidate to go on record to publicly say that I support term limits for all politicians. I support a maximum of 3 terms, and once implemented, it will be retroactive. 2 of the reasons why I'm supporting term limits are very simple. It reduces the possibility of any potential corruptions among politicians, and it also creates opportunities for younger persons with new ideas to advance this country forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot of hard work to be done. Let us begin this hard work together. Let us transform this country. And as our economy changes, let's be the generation that ensure every Caymanian share in our prosperity. I want to create laws for our benefit, not theirs. Let's be the generation that protect and cherish our senior citizen. Every single person willing to work should be able to get the job training that leads to a better job and earn a living wage that can pay the bills. And let's be the generation that finally, after all these years, tackle our unemployment, pension, and healthcare crisis. So, let me remind you tonight that change will not be easy. Change will take time, but as hard as it may seem, we cannot lose hope. Because there are people all across these islands who are counting on us, who can't afford another 4 years without health care and a sustainable pension and decent wage because our past leaders have ignored them. The choice in this election is not between religion or gender. It is not about rich versus poor, young versus old. And it's not about black versus white. This election is about the past versus the future. It's about whether we want politics of common sense and innovation, a politics of shared sacrifices and shared prosperity. We owe our country a better future. And for all of those who dream of that future tonight, I say, let's begin now. Caymanians, this is our moment. This is our time. Our time to turn the page on the politics of the past. Our time to bring new energy and new ideas to the challenges we face. Our time to offer a new direction for this country that we love. I know the journey will be difficult. The road will be long. I am prepared to face these challenges. I will face these challenges with profound humility and knowledge of my own limitations, but I will also face it with limitless faith in the capacity of the Caymanian people. Ladies and gentlemen, this election is our chance to keep the Caymanian hope alive. Because the same party that brought you to where we are today will ask you for a second term. And we are here. We are here because we love this country too much to let the next 4 years look just like the last 4. Our government should work for us, not against us. It should help us, not hurt us. It should ensure opportunities for not just for those with the most money and influence, but for every Caymanian who's willing and able to work. Because at this moment, we must restore the confidence of our people and ensure them that our government is on their side, that it's working for them and on their behalf to meet their families' needs. The Cayman Democratic Party is here for Caymanians to strengthen our country, a great country, and to make it as durable and as free as it can be. A Cayman proud of his past, standing tall in the region and confident of its future. Caymanians are saying with uncertainty that they have had enough of the same old debate and they want change. We deserve better. That is why I, along with the Cayman Democratic Party, will dare to bring about these changes. Changes that is now necessary because the country is going nowhere. Because for too long, issues that matter to most Caymanians are yet to be settled. Bodden Tongers are ready for this change. Caymanians are also ready for this change. My friends, I am ready to bring this change so that the people of Bodden Town can have a strong voice in government, and together we are ready for this challenge. This campaign can't only be about me, it must be about us. It must be about what we can do together as a people. This campaign must be the occasion, the vehicle of your hope and your dreams. It will take your time, your energy, and your advice to push us forward when we are doing right and to let us know when we are not. This campaign has to be about regaining the meaning of who we are as a people and restoring our sense of common purpose and realizing that a few obstacles can withstand the power of a few hundred voices calling for change. That beneath all the differences of faith and religion, race and country, we are one people, and there is power in hope. Together, we can win the next battle for justice, opportunity, and equality. We can win the next battle for better pension, health care, sustainable employment, and a better way of life for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I am hopeful about the future of our island. I have full confidence in the wisdom and initiative of the Cayman Democratic Party and in the hard work, courage, and sacrifice of the Caymanian people. And most of all, I deeply believe in the strength and the attitude of this country. To this end, the Cayman Democratic Party, I'm sure, will work to ensure that all citizens are given the opportunity to provide a decent home and a good quality of life for their families, to take care of our elderly, veterans and seamen, and others who are genuinely in need, to foster robust economic growth and development in the Cayman Islands, and to ensure that all Caymanians have an opportunity to benefit, and finally, to protect and build on our proud heritage, our Christian values, and our unique heritage. Together, starting today, let us concentrate and start on the work that needs to be done and usher in a new birth of unity and togetherness. That is why I, Stafford Berry, and Robert Bodden, your candidates for the District of Bodden Town, is asking you to vote for us on May the 24th, 2017. Because, ladies and gentlemen, our ambitions are rooted in the principle that tomorrow must be better than today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and may God bless the Cayman Islands.
Thank you, Stafford. Okay, so we have work to do. Elections Day is 13 days away. And let me just remind you that this is a historic election. This is the first time that we have one man, one vote, so you have one opportunity, folks, to get it right. Which brings me to my next point. In the next week or so, we're going to be coming around kind of distributing some new ballot papers for you. That's going to show you exactly what the new ballot papers are going to look like. They're going to have the candidate's picture, their name, and the party, if affiliated with any, on there. And what you're going to do is just put an X by your candidate in the little box that's provided. I know there's going to be some that you're going to want to cross out altogether, maybe draw horns on them, but please don't do that because you're going to spoil the ballot. So we're going to make sure that everyone does it right and we get this party in. Okay, at this time, I would also like to just mention, welcome to the stage. We have Honorable Mr. McKeeva Bush and Mr. Mike Adam. Just please give them, we had already welcomed Mr. Pearsley. Okay, next up, we have, hailing from the constituency of Bodden Town East, Mr. Robert Bodden. Robert has a larger-than-life personality, a trait that he has developed from his old man, Mr. Haldane Bodden. And if you have ever met him, you would know exactly what I mean. Robert is hardworking, dedicated, and man of his word. He is a natural-born leader. We often refer to him in our meetings as the Wolf, hence our unofficial campaign song. We tell him if he were thrown to the wolves, he would come back leading the pack. He has that charm and charisma. He is a gentleman, but he can be gangster when the need arises. He is not afraid to speak his mind, nor for standing up in what he believes in. I've often told him he's a young Mr. Bush. He recognizes the need for change and the potential that Bodden Town has to be a bustling, thriving community. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the new sheriff in town, Mr. Robert Bodden.
All right. Good night, Bodden Town. How are you doing out there tonight, you wonderful, beautiful people? Good night, Lookout Gardens. I don't hear you. Can I have a big round of applause for these wonderful, hard-working CDP people on the stage? God is good. Please, Heavenly Father, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, by His grace and forgiveness, I stand before you tonight. And by His grace, so can you. I would like to thank you all for coming out to listen to our vision as a party and to offer your support to your next representative for the district or the constituency of Bodden Town East, your people's candidate, Robert Bodden. I stand before you tonight to ask your permission and vote, and God willing, on May 24th, I will be your next CDP representative for the constituency of Bodden Town East. Together with our leader, the Honorable McKeeva Bush at the helm, and his capable, hard-working individuals, we will restore hope and opportunities for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any West Bears in the audience tonight? Well, the leader is here tonight. All right. We run live TV tonight, so West Bay, you have to vote straight. You vote CDP, the Honorable McKeeva Bush, Bernie Bush, Captain Eugene Ebanks, and the one and only John Jefferson Jr. Who we voting for in West Bay? CDP straight. All right, we're moving on up. This train is just leaving the station. We're coming up 7 Mile Beach. And who we picking up along the way? Who we picking up? Paulina McGrath. Paulina McGrath Lumsden. All right. We're moving on up to the top. We got next Jonathan Percy. Blup, blup, blup. And moving straight through to the south, we have Jesus like himself, the Honorable Mike Adam. And coming through to the west, to the east, we have the magnanimous Teresa Bodden, who we love as Miss Tessa. Ladies and gentlemen, we coming on up, you know, 'cause we coming Central BT, you know, but we got to pick up some more people along the way. All right, who we picking up in Red Bay? I say, who we picking up in Red Bay? Who that young man is on the block? We call him Mr. Dennis Stanton. All right, we done reached nowhere, you know, we just have come through Savannah. All right, all right, all right. We coming in now to Bodden Town. I mean, we got some people we working with along the way, you know. All right, who we working with? I don't hear you. You sure he working with us? All right, all right, all right. We got a seat for him too. Picking up along the way. Who you say? You sure he working with us? He told you so? All right, all right, all right. We picking him up too. I heard a big hello for Aldo Suku. All right, all right, all right. Coming into where? They call us Dallas. BT Central. Not what? We got Will T Drive. We got Woodland. We got Beach Bay. And who we got down that side there? Stafford Berry. Stand up, Mr. Berry. Ladies and gentlemen, who the driver of this bus is? Any seat left on this bus? Who we picking up in Bodden Town East? Robert Bodden. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for change. Fired up and ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a vision that together we will make Bodden Town first again. Our people will have an equal playing field. No longer will we sit quietly and allow our country to be robbed of our Christian heritage and traditions, and our people left as beggars for crumbs that fall from the table of these islands of plenty. The district of Bodden Town has been severely neglected, left for dead by previous elected members. The time has come. Who are we voting this election? CDP! Can I hear you? You sure remember all those names now? You're going to tell your friends and call your neighbor and even call long distance because people can vote postal ballot. Talk the talk shows. Call the talk shows. The time has come for change. We did it before, ladies and gentlemen, and we've done it again. No more left out, handout, traders, Judas, pushing us under the bus, run us over, and some of you even run back over us and left us for dead. Tonight, I am asking you to step up with me and with the CDP and be a part of a new change, a change that will bring economic opportunities, jobs that sustain our families, and put food on our tables. The CDP, ladies and gentlemen, will work with all the stakeholders of this country to train Caymanians and include the equity and upward mobility that has been unfairly taken away from us. The CDP will work together for pension and retirement security, safer communities, and we will bring a development plan to Bodden Town that includes all the people. Ladies and gentlemen, Bodden Town needs a strong leader, a leader with vision, who has the testicular fortitude to lead and bring legislation to protect our culture, local traditions, and deliver an improved education system that will produce young people who are ready to work and be a part of the economic opportunities this country has to offer. We need a leader that delivers, one who is connected with the ground and its constituents. A leader who is willing to make tough decisions and negotiate with business owners, the legal and financial institutions, tourism developers, managers to bring inclusion with the necessary training and succession planning so that all our people can share in the equity that is available in these islands. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot do anything without you. Change starts first with me coming out of my comfort zone, and I'm asking each one of you to do the same. Stop sitting on the fence, complaining it takes many hands on deck to upright this sinking ship. Tomorrow has to be better than today, and better has to come. With great character comes great heart. As the people's candidate, I have the aptitude to balance leadership with empathy and principle. I have a track record of qualities that I believe carry a leader from the beginning of their path to all aspects of life. I am a candidate that will work diligently with like-minded individuals for the people of this country, and I am honest, result-driven. Bodden Town East, I am running with the Cayman Democratic Party as the best candidate for the constituency of Bodden Town. There are a lot of issues facing the constituency of Bodden Town East, some of which are sustainable jobs, no hurricane shelter, neighborhood crime, the cost of living, a livable wage, traffic congestion, and the list goes on. Our people are in a spiritual, mental, economic, and social grave. We are not the people we should be or the people we could be because of lack of vision and empathy by our current government. The people are in anguish. We need better paying jobs in a fair market, cost of living control, and a livable wage that put foods in our refrigerators, ladies and gentlemen. We need solutions, ladies and gentlemen, solutions that will take away our despair. Cayman has developed, but many have fallen through the cracks, with no proper solution, intervention, or integration, or rehabilitation for sustainable development. I ask you the following. How strong is our foundation against poverty, bigotry, and discrimination in our country? Have we been following the right path, or are we in a state of ignorance and falseness? Do we know lies from truth anymore? Are we being rushed down a path of destruction? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you this question tonight. Look around, people. Tell me, what do you see? Tell me what the current Minister of Bodden Town has done for you and done for Bodden Town lately. All right. If Christopher Columbus returned to Cayman today, the only constituency he would recognize is Bodden Town East, because nothing has changed here since he last visited. Things have to change, ladies and gentlemen. And on November 21st, I ask for your support and for your vote for Robert Bodden for BT East, for May 24th, sorry. Our illustrious incumbent government has done nothing for us in Bodden Town other than put us on life support. Our refrigerators are empty. We cannot find jobs. And when our educated youth return, they're turned away for imported slave labor. This has to change. And they have the audacity, ladies and gentlemen, to tell us we're in a sweet spot. Or don't stop the progress? Who they think we is, fool? Not today, Bobo! Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you on May 24th to deliver this message to the PPM. We have had enough of your empty promises, wasteful spending, and we are not fool anymore. The buck stops with us, and we gonna turn the lights back on. We have the power, ladies and gentlemen, and we will be using it to bring change to Bodden Town East. Bodden Town East need hope. We need a serum injection or something to take us off this life support we've been on for this past 4 years, ladies and gentlemen. It's a crying shame. People are suffering. People are in survival mode. People are pawning stuff just to put food on their table, living out their cars. We got a needs assessment unit, ladies and gentlemen, that's supposed to help us in need. And we have a government that is not paying attention to the bills that has to be paid to help our people. They don't care, ladies and gentlemen. How can they say they're progressive, right? When you don't pay a rental bill for a family in need, and then they're kicked out on the street. But then they boast about a surplus. Tell me where the empathy is in all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you. The reason I'm here tonight because better has to come and tomorrow has to be better than today. I tell you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in order to have a government that cares for the people with dedicated representation who works to bring economic opportunities, job security, you have to vote straight. Vote for all the CDP candidates. Remember, a vote for an independent where a CDP is running is a vote against the CDP. Do you want me to repeat that for you? If you vote for an independent in a constituency where you have a CDP representative or a CDP candidate, you are directly voting against McKeever Bush and the CDP. Do not be fooled, ladies and gentlemen, by wish-wash politicians and traitors that make empty promises and don't have an execution plan. Or, ladies and gentlemen, be, what is it, weary of them wolves in sheep clothing, who, out of desperation to be elected, confuse you, tell you lies of working with the CDP, and that they will join the CDP if elected. Don't be fooled, my people. This is just a coy, just to get in for their own political greed and to follow their puppet masters. Don't gamble on your future and your children's future. Who you voting for May 24th? CDP. All the way, ladies and gentlemen. This election is different. You only have one vote. And ladies and gentlemen, my number is 916-4359. If you do not know where to vote or how to vote, please speak to me. You only mark one X. On this election ballot, there will now be the face of your representative. For Bodden Town East, your CDP representative is Robert Bodden. Look at his face. You put one X. Please do not mark traitor, Judas, or washed up, or all of that on the faces of other people. That will be a spoiled ballot. Reserve your victory party till after the results of one, okay? One X for Robert Bodden, Bodden Town East. Number 3, okay? Number 3. In Bodden Town West, you're going to vote number 1. He's the first man on the candidate, Mr. Stafford Berry. Bodden Towners, we need the vision of our CDP party leader and his team to put us back on solid ground. A CDP government, ladies and gentlemen, will put money where? Back in our pocket. And for all of the people, so that you can buy the things that you need, have the jobs that put money in your hands, to be able to buy the food to put in your refrigerators, pay your utilities, and have hope for your children's future. Which brings me to the question, who is responsible for putting money in the hands of the people? I say our leaders, they are the ones who will have the rule book that we so quietly follow. We continue to follow the same rule book by electing the same people who use this rule book against us. We cannot afford to make this mistake again. So who are we voting for on May 24th? Who you voting for in Bodden Town East? Bodden Town West? Red Bay? But Georgetown West? Teresa Bodden. She's in East. Who we voting in Georgetown West? Jonathan Percy. Georgetown South. Georgetown North. Paulina, listen now, you gotta practice this, so you can tell your friends and tell them straight, how to vote straight. You wanna go back over this again, or are you gonna write this down? All right. Well, listen, we're in Bodden Town, so let's get this straight. Bodden Town East, number 3, Robert Bodden, CDP, okay? Fired up, ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the CDP is putting the people of Bodden Town first and making Cayman great again. We are here to turn this trend around and make the rule book work for all us Caymanians. I want jobs for all my people of Bodden Town. I want affordable health care, retirement security, better education curriculum that leaves no child behind. The CDP will deliver better mortgage protection, pension security. We will also work to make the pension fund available for local economic development and help fund small business entrepreneurship programs. Ladies and gentlemen, with the dynamic leader, the Honorable Makiva Bush, and a strong, dedicated, hard-working team, we are committed to make this happen. I say to you tonight, vote for change, vote for strong leadership, vote Robert Bodden, Bodden Town East. Stafford Berry, Bodden Town West. Ladies and gentlemen, our youth are the future, and we have to prepare better opportunities for them and their families. We have to love and nurture them. Young men in the audience tonight, I say to you, you have to take the responsibility of fatherhood serious. Our kids watch us very closely. And in order to give them the head start in this unforgiving and competitive world we live in today, the buck stops with us men. We cannot expect our mothers and the state to raise our children single-handedly, as they alone are not responsible for all the love and care that they need. Fathers, we play a very important role other than financial supporters and sperm donorship. Our youths have to be given the wings to fly, and we have to give them a platform to shine. I invite every member of the Bodden Town community to be a part of these changes. You can get involved by starting a community group in the area you live in. The leader from this group will then be invited to sit at the table of the district council, through which your voice will now have a listening ear from your representative, who will enact your voice in the legislative assembly. No longer will your representative be disconnected, because you will now have the opportunity to hold them accountable to your wishes. This is the future management style going forward that will deliver better transparency and accountability. A district council will have a budget to manage the affairs, upkeep, and service the needs of the community, along, ladies and gentlemen, with a very own community officer. An officer who lives in the district, an officer who visits the residents of this constituency and advises the situation as it relates to assistance, so that we no longer have to be held hostage by bureaucracy. A needs unit who don't pay bills on time, which has landlords putting our kids on the streets, will be a thing of the past. Cayman is no longer an island that time has forgotten. It is time for change. A change that will enable us to compete and be a part of a changing world. I want you to vote for me this election, and together we will make a difference in our community. The PPM government has failed us miserably. Bodden Town is no longer better off today than it was 20 or 30 years ago. Despite the many promises, you have gotten nothing from them. They have failed us miserably. Our young people are still hopelessly roaming the streets with an unsure future. It is therefore time, ladies and gentlemen, to vote a new government, a new leader with candidates who care for the people of this country. Tell me who the leader you want to save us. Did I hear McKeever Bush? Who is the next leader you want to lead us into the future? And how are you going to do that? Vote straight, ladies and gentlemen. We're not selling this election out. With a CDP government, we will steer you to a happier life for both you and your family. It is time to make Bodden Town and the whole of Cayman first again. We need it as it relates to education, which, by the way, is the most important topic and is the future of our country. We need an education system that leaves no child behind, with the opportunities of a dedicated technical vocational school for those that seek to excel in this chosen field. We have to diversify the delivery of the system to include the technical skills, arts, music, and drama, as well as the curative and the agricultural field. We as leaders have to diversify the way education is offered and delivered. We need a new system, one that allows the teachers to be informed, trained, supported, listened to, and ladies and gentlemen, we just need to pay our teachers a livable wage. We hear of students who get bored with traditional schooling and get into antisocial behavior and start dealing drugs. But now, ladies and gentlemen, can be saved by technology that is the learning of the future. Every child needs an adult and a great teacher who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. They tell us we don't need technical schools. They tell us everybody needs to be a genius. Well, if everybody is a genius and you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life being stupid. And that, my friends, is how they're delivering education in this country. Cayman is one of the leading financial destinations, and we are blazing a trail in the delivery of specialized financial services. We have to continue to build on this and stay competitive against other countries that are bidding on this business. The world has changed, and tourism will be the future. We have to implement cutting-edge vision and diplomacy, and it has to be at the core by our government. We have to retrain our people to take the jobs and enjoy the equity that these industries provide, at the same time protecting our environments and offering opportunities. On day one, ladies and gentlemen, we will make plans with our designers, our collective district councils, and discuss a long-term plan for this country. From these discussions and agreed vision, the plan will be implemented with follow-up discussions and legislations that will be the blueprint to take us into the future. We need a better today and tomorrow. Who you voting for in Bodden Town East? And who you voting for come May 24th? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Robert. At this time, I would just like to publicly thank Mr. Piercy and Mr. Adam for coming along tonight and lending their support to us. They were going to give short speeches, but in the interest of time, I think we will just move right along and call the guest speaker up. Before I do that, let me just tell you a little bit about Mr. Jonathan Piercy. Jonathan grew up on Goring Avenue in a small area called Percy Square. He recognizes the elderly and the aged population as one of his constituency's most pressing issues, their basic needs. He wants opportunities for young Caymanian, and his number one priority as an MLA would be to build inclusive coalitions, cut through red tape and bureaucracy, and put resources where they can be most good. He is motivated by making a difference and excited to bring fresh ideas, thoughtful policies, and real change for the Cayman Islands. Please give Mr. Piercy a round of applause. I would also like to tell you a little about Mr. Adam. Mr. Mike Adams was the Minister for Community Affairs, Gender and Housing back in 2009. He's been in politics for 8 years. He spearheaded the gender law, his motto is service above self, and education is a priority for him in his campaign. He also promises to fight for those who cannot fight. Now, I recently found something about Mr. Adam that I didn't know, and our families actually go quite a ways back. My grandfather suffered 2 strokes over the past year, and he's actually not able to talk that well. But he made it quite clear to me that when I was keeping him up to date with the campaign, and I showed him Mr. Adams' picture, he made it very clear to me that Mr. Adams was to come and see him, even though he can't even vote in his constituency. And I also found out that Mr. Adams was actually a Bodden Town resident at one time, and that he lived next to my Aunt Choke, who also worked for them. And she's Mance Road, that's right. So thank you again, Mr. Adams, for coming tonight, and Mr. Piercy. And at this time, I'm going to call on our guest speaker, the Honorable Makiva Bush, who has 33 years of service to the people of these islands. He's been a politician almost as long as I've been alive. He is responsible for a number of things, and he has always put Caymanians first. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming to the stage the People's Premier, Honorable Mr. Makiva Bush.
You pick him up, you lick him down, him bounce right back. What a hard man for dead. Pick him up, you lick him down, him bounce right back. What a hard man for dead. Them say the cat got a 9 life, but this man got 99 life. Cause them pick him up, them lick him down, him bounce right back. What a hard man for dead. Them wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always good to be in Bodden Town. And I've been with some stalwart Bodden Town representatives, politicians over the years. But I'm always pleased, since starting this campaign, to be on the platform with Stafford Berry and Robert Bodden. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to search. You shouldn't by now have to think, well, who's the best out of the lot in Bodden Town that you want to vote for. By now, I would think that you know. You don't have to listen long to know that you have 2 educated, able, capable, willing men in Robert Bodden and Stafford Berry. I want to say before, and Robert talked a bit about education, and so did Stafford, and I want to talk about it as well. But the access, you're only running 2 people. And I'll just say briefly that we thought it best if you see some independents that you can work with, that you give them an opportunity. And since Mr. Eden, I've been associated for many, many years, and we've gotten along, although we've been on opposite sides, he did leave the PPM behind. He did say, "Get thee behind me, Satan!" And he left them. And he's a capable, able, honest man. And so him and his colleague, Mr. Suku, we said we'd offer them our support by not running against them. But we understand that they're trying to make some hay out of that. No, we don't have candidates in their district, therefore, people that we can influence, can talk to, we can tell them. These gentlemen will work with us. They are independents. I believe they are true independents. And we can work with them. So, and it's the same in Georgetown Central with Mr. Bryan, and it's the same in Prospect. You don't have to look and wonder if those are elected that we could work with them. We can. They are, I believe, true independents. But we in Bodden East and Bodden West have two capable men that you can put your confidence in, can put your trust in. They have been in good jobs where it takes intelligence to run and to work. And so you ought to give them your vote. And you ought to go out and tell people, tell your neighbors, tell your family, put aside any kind of feeling. This is a serious election. And don't fool yourself about this split up. It's all a plan. It's all a plan. And we are already so divided. You vote for the East, Robert Bodden, and for the West, Stafford Berry. We will work together for your benefit. I have been around long enough to know who is who today. I've been around the whole of it to know who really cares about people. And that's what I got elected for. You see, when they was preaching and telling you, oh, don't support McKee because you only study in West Bay. Well, if all of them had studied in their areas, you would be better off. I am elected to take care of the people that elected me, but I do look out for people that I believe needs care and attention no matter where they come from. In town, we got 5 capable men and women. Tess is a capable woman. Jonathan is a capable man who worked in the finance industry, who ran the Department of Commerce under my government and did an extremely great job in helping people and moving the country along. Mike Adams was a minister with me, but he served long years before that, for many years, 40 years I believe, Cayman Airways, at a time when it was a political football. And we took it and we said, enough, we're going to tell what good it is to the country. And then we got an audit done on it, which showed how many millions of dollars, instead of the 20 million that we're giving it, it's bringing in more like $300 million to this economy. And Mike Adams came in, well, they moved him, if you remember. And they are so vindictive. That's why they don't deserve to govern. And you, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to put them out. Don't worry about my 33 years. I've done something. Some of them been there, and what have they done? Yeah, kept the seat warm. Kept the seat warm. Mike Adams came in the government and he cared. And he worked with us. You hear Kurt get up there talking about his government. He not going to no more government now. And not one house in 4 years. Not one house for people. Then you tell me they care? When people are sleeping in their cars and going to the beach bathroom to bed, on the floor and on people's sofa, coming to us to see if we can help them buy a bed and a mattress, and they're talking about needs assessment. If they're assessing needs, you can believe one thing, it must be a very small amount, because the needs are great in this country. They cut the budget. Ozzy will tell you they didn't cut it, but poor Ozzy. Alden saw him long road and see not going to more help ministry. And now he up there telling people up in the East that I'm running Jamaican politics. What kind of donkey foolishness that is? Ladies and gentlemen, they said that for many years, that I had Siaga, they said. That's what they were saying a couple of elections ago. I said, me? I've won 8 elections. Siaga lost 4 or 5? Oh, I don't need it. Now with this new system, we have to be careful. We have to get technical advice, because they're gone cut up the district when I was at my weakest and couldn't stop it. But I can tell you, many people today, I don't know about you, but many people believe that the wrong thing has been done to this country. So, Mike Adams, 90-something houses. 97 houses. At the worst time of my administration, when the governor was peeping in and hiding behind the door and lying and carrying on and trying to stop us, we still did things for people. 97. PPM, nada. Nada, and that's what you should do with them. Not one seat for the PPM. Not one. Keep them out. Dunstan Tibbetts, a capable man that has served the country through the Lions Club and various boards, and must have been served on nearly every board that government had over the years. That man gave his life to public service through government and NGOs also. He deserves a chance, and what a gift to us if Alden would even find himself one vote behind him. One vote. But you can see to it. Let us go into Red Bay. And decide to send him home packing. Send him home. Perlina is a young lady that knows about the needs of people. She's enthusiastic. She is well-trained, well-educated. We deserve to give her a chance. Jonathan Piercy knows what it means also. If you remember, none of them were born with silver spoons. None. They know. And that's why I cared to be with them, because I have always cared. I knew what it meant not to get the education that I wanted, which was to be a lawyer or a teacher. Couldn't do it in the prejudice system of this country. Turned us out, said I had no more space. But I know what it means to go to bed, not hungry, but wanting more. A little bit selfish sometimes, see? But I knew what it was to go to school barefoot and without clothes. And when some of my colleagues today and my peers today were going with a dressed up, with a necktie even at that point, or a bow tie, white shirt and black pants, I was wearing my khaki pants from school to Sunday school. So I know, and that's why I empathize with the people in this country that some people seem to look down their nose at. And don't tell me they don't do it. You can see it coming out of them. They don't care. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, when you come to West Bay, I still give them a run for their money. I hear them, but they got a queen. A queen what? Queen conk? Queen what? I ain't scared of them. They tried before and we whipped them soundly and sent them home. And the poor Minister of Education got lost. And now she's saying that she got the South wrapped up. And I say, that's where we're going to send her, south. That's where she is, south. On all the issues. Education is most important, ladies and gentlemen. And within our first 100 days, we are going to make some serious changes that needs to be done. The education system in the Cayman Islands has forever been a political football. They changed it up, and my son, 3 times they changed the system when he was in high school. An A-level student, A student. 3 times that year in late 87, around there, 88. And while Mr. Truman has done a lot, he made some huge mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. And so we're still here talking about education. Roy Bodden made great strides. So this election season is really no different than all that I've seen. We're still talking about changing the system when we only getting 20% of all that is graduated to send abroad for tertiary level education. Ladies and gentlemen, they want to talk about statistics. That's a poor one. How in the world we're going to cope with a changing world when we're only sending 20%? And no vocational, no VOTEC. And so we got to stop kicking it around and do something. And my team is keen to focus on improving our education system in a unique manner. And so there are several things that we want to do. And I speak from a policy level at this point. We have to define the education system. And I mean really define the system. Clearly identify the difference between public and private education and commit to the new agenda with private schools. We have to identify the key risks to our children not learning and not meeting their potential. And we propose a game-changing approach to the management of our schools. Propose a formal streaming approach for children who are at extreme risk of failing out of the system. And produce a skills-based unit which will recommend priority areas of study for super funding in the technical, vocational, and academic spheres of education. For far too long, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting late, but bear with me. The education system has been defined as the Ministry of Education, and it is the Department of Education and schools and children. But let's be honest, that's also the way blame has been laid for the gaps in the learning outcomes in our growing number of students. And I think about it, my friends, our children are at the bottom of the pile, and there is no mention of families and parents or guardians. And so our party defines the education system as our homes, where our children live, our schools, where our children receive formal education, our teachers who impart the formal instruction, our schools who manage our teachers and support them, and the Ministry of Education who will set policy and then ensure that the Chief Education Officer supports our schools in implementing these policies. So let me summarize the education system as this then. It is the children in the context of their family. The teachers as the formal agents of knowledge, our schools, and for the Ministry of Education, including the Department of Education. It does not mean huge buildings that do not work. If we don't define the education system properly, how can we address the issues? We are committed to many areas, changes in order to improve our system of education. So let's talk a minute about our children. We will place our children in the context of their families at the core of the education system. Everything we do for education must be in support of our children reaching their maximum potential. As teachers, schools, the ministry, and the cabinet, we must not lose focus on the fact that everything we do must be centered on the progression and development of your children. As a government, we will ensure that, one, every child will have a formally documented education plan for each academic year, which will be signed off by the children, their parents or guardians, their teachers or tutors, and the principal. And two, all parents will formally sign a commitment letter to the school to support their child by ensuring all homework and extension work is completed at home, by attending every parent-teacher conference, by supporting and attending the Parent-Teacher Association as much as possible, and properly reporting any learning or behavioral issues identified at home to the teacher or the tutor to ensure that the school knows and can plan according to being able to assist each child in the context of the needs of their families. A learning support team must be established with all relevant stakeholders at the earliest sign a child may not reach their educational potential for some reason. And so these will be similar to the program we call the BEST, established by former Minister of Education during our term as Premier, my term as Premier, our last government from 2009 to 2012. And so on a side note, ladies and gentlemen, this is just yet another area that the current minister has failed. She has failed to follow through with this policy and expand it the way we had envisaged. And those learning support teams that I'm talking about will do just that. And so let me use an example of how a learning support team will work. And so let us say that your little boy or girl is struggling to complete homework at home or is being defiant to their parents. This will be reported to the school, and immediately a case conference could be called with the parents to understand the reasons and the issues. If, for example, it is noted that they are refusing to take action, then the school understands what is happening. Every family placed on the educationally at-risk register will be monitored by the school, and an annual report filed with the ministry to ensure that corrective action is taken should parents and their students not be holding up the commitments they made. Parents, is our parental responsibility. We have to live up to the commitments we make and to any such plan that government will support with the schools. We must support our children, and we cannot continue to deny the fact that as parents, we made the children, and legally they are responsible for them until they are the age of majority. Just think of it. Parents come to my door, 8 o'clock in the morning, with an 8-year-old and say, take him, he's your responsibility, not mine, I voted for you, I can't handle him. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I well know that should never happen. What? What are they thinking about? Should never happen. For our children with extreme behavioral and emotional issues, we must roll out programs geared specifically to them. And under our government, we employed Mr. Michael Biles. He was brought in to be the critical advocate and link for those children at risk. As the previous manager of the Bonaventure Home for Boys, he was well placed to take on that task. But under the current minister, he was so frustrated that he was forced to leave. Yet another good Caymanian teacher, civil servant, leaves the system because of frustration, because he was not getting the support required to make an impact in these most vulnerable children's lives. Yeah, Tara Rivers can talk about she got his South wrapped up, but she's really South. Past Kigoda, you know where that is? We either invest, ladies and gentlemen, early and intervene, or see them end up in the criminal justice system and cost the country millions in Northwood Prison. This government in particular has failed miserably in that area, and they are contributing to the future social problems of this country by not doing what they're supposed to do. The Stepping Stones program, started by the minister, has been a miserable failure from all reports. At-risk children are falling out at alarming rates and ending up still being involved in antisocial behavior, and they're not able to track them. She talks about what she has done. She's done a lot. Done so poorly that they at times don't have paper in the school, don't have toilet tissue in the school, don't have hand toweling in the school, don't have copper paper in the school. And now you tell me that any one of you here should vote for any minister or colleague up here in this town who supported her? Don't even talk about her little old $6 hour. Depend on that, you might not be able to pay your light bill. Teachers, ladies and gentlemen, are an integral part of any education system. And I have seen over the years how teachers have been paid no mind except to criticize them, and particularly criticize the foreign ones because they can't vote. You know that you listen to them. You listen to them. They're being very selective about who they criticize because they don't have a vote. But they are our teachers. They teach our children. We cannot believe that we can continue to castigate and tear down teachers in front of our children and expect them to be successful. Equally, we must hold teachers to account, as their responsibility to our children is great. I've seen teachers who taught for 40-odd years in this country die because of financial problems. No help from government. We managed to get them something like $400 or $300 a month. They were not on pension. And they said Oh, well, they got a gratuity back in the 70s. A gratuity? 70s, 80s? A gratuity, bonus or whatever they wanted to call it. How much was that? $300-400? What's the value of that 5 years ago, much less today? No, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot expect our children to learn from that kind of arena, from that kind of atmosphere, of that kind of environment, because people are human. So our government will create a best practice approach to recruiting the very best teachers. Can't wait till September when school open and expect to get teachers. Teachers are a shortage worldwide, and teachers from the Caribbean are going all over. People from England and other Commonwealth countries are getting jobs all over the world. But these fool people with all kind of degrees behind their name wait until school nearly going to start and then tell you they're going to go get teachers. What they get is the what left. We going to honor the teaching profession by way of proper pay and community recognition to ensure that they can have the best possible standard of living. Our teachers should not be living close to the poverty line. Many capable persons do not enter or they exit the teaching profession because of the compensation. And one of our pledges for the first 10 to 100 days is to take care of our elderly and to ensure that we look at the teachers' package and start to pay them accordingly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will encourage businesses too to come up with specific teacher and education professional discount programs as a way for us to honor those persons and let them know their worth to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg you, no matter how much you get aggravated and frustrated because your child has a problem, do not try to take it out on the teacher without sitting down properly, and don't do it in front of our children. Hold every teacher accountable to the national standards for teachers, which was introduced under our government. Support our teachers with the best tools for modern teaching and learning. And we will work towards having an interactive whiteboard in every classroom within the public system. I know I'm going on a little bit, but it is education I'm talking about, and I do have a few more points to make. So give me your time. I know you got to work tomorrow as well. Our principals needs to have budgetary control for their schools. How can we say in 2017 that we will hold principals accountable, then we do not vest them with the real authority to run their schools? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to ensure that principals have a stronger voice in the recruitment, dismissal of any teacher at their school, and ensure also that there are safeguards so that advantage is not taken of any teacher. And we have to ensure that the minister establishes proper school targets which the principals will be held accountable for. And we have to establish a school pride focus. We used to do it when we was in primary school way back then. And we kept the schools clean. And we learned something from it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Education and all the ministers are charged with the constitutional responsibility to create policy. It is critical to ensure that a minister's policy are carried out by their respective agency within their ministry. In the case of education, there's a lot of bureaucracy that was created, and now we have to deal with it. For a country our size, there has often been a challenge to how policy find its way to schools in the shape or form once it had gone through the department. We know there has been a long-standing problem of the ministry developing a specific policy, but the department sending a very different message to schools. And so that is fundamentally flawed. It has come high time for all of education to be under one roof and operating seamlessly. No more of these silos where the department is there and this another unit is there and the next unit is over there. And so who suffers? Our children. Time, ladies and gentlemen, for that to change. Too much red tape in this country at all levels. Check it out. You want to see paper that government sends out. We need to focus on cutting the red tape. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to do, and I'll close with this, several more points. Implement a reception through Year 12 character education curriculum. And this is found to have life-altering results in the lives of students and increase academic performance. Update and fulfill implementations of the 2012-2017 National Strategic Plan for Education. Development of a national PTA as a vehicle for engagement, increased participation, and enhanced accountability to parents and other key stakeholders. And we will invite leaders of industry and business to sit on that body. And we must open our system up to enhance interaction and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to enhance support to education for children with extreme learning disabilities. We believe a contractual arrangement, for instance with Hope Academy, could be formed to deliver these services. We do have to complete the new John Gray High School using a more traditional building method, and we have to enhance and expand Passport to Success, yet another program started when we was premier. And she talks about it, she didn't disband it, but not once would she say that that was started under our government. Oh no, she won't make the world believe that the glass house was built by her. And we have to integrate a national adult training initiative underpinned by Career Ready 101 or some similar program. Continue to reform of teaching of math and English by team teaching, year or group or hiring specialty teachers for these two subjects at the primary level. We have to pay more attention and do the necessary program work. And even if you look at some of the schools, the renovation work for primary schools, they're so wicked that you know, and they wanted to come back with this surplus that they claim they got. Down in West Bay, when I go to do my checks, all the front of the building is painted, the eaves, eave boards. But when you go inside, the place is all marked up, nothing done. And they think they could fool people because teachers, most parents just drive up and pick up the children and gone. That's how they care about you, doing a facade. But that's just them. That's how they are. That's how they live. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to do, and I will certainly stop at this point. I wanted to get into the technical and vocational studies, but I'll tell you this. We do not need to build 10, 12, 20 million dollar building for teaching of trades. We can do that at the community level with the private sector. The same Michael Miles could oversee this for us and cost us less. Cost us less. So We will utilize the schools that are empty every night by community programs that will enhance trades and other programs, of course. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I have been talking about is a new way forward for education, but it has to be done. The CDP is committed to a modern education system. When I went to meetings in Singapore, of course, you know, they cussed me for that. But I had to go there for the OECD to take us off the gray list that Alden left us on. May the 24th, God's willing, we will move forward, and in our first 10 to 100 days, the new education plan will immediately start to be implemented. We can't fool around anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That has to be our priority, and two priorities, main ones, is to take care of our, I'll make it three main ones at this point. Take care of our elderly. We can't give them no $510, $550 anymore. We have to give them at least $1,000. We have to. And we can manage it. And that's seamen, veterans, and handicapped and other persons in need. But we have to do it, and it's a part of our policy. Mortgages that are failing, government must put up some upfront money and try to look at we can't look at all of them, we don't know how many it is, but it's many more than they're saying, and take the worst cases and try to save people's homes. And then we'll have to sit down with the banks or lending institutions and work with them. But I'll tell them this. We have a development bank, and if they don't do it, we will find the ways and means. Because people, this foolishness, and I'll say foolishness, but it's past that, ladies and gentlemen, where you pay your mortgage for 15 years, and they end up selling it for less than its value. You get nothing and still end up owing them. And for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 that you might not have been able for some reason or another, and we lose our families' homes. Children are pushed out. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Watcher and Alden and the rest of them, I tell you that is not a priority, and government can't do anything about it, and it's not their fault. No. Let's say it's not their fault, but they know the problem. And you elect them to do what? Fix the problem. And what they do? Alden go in Bodden and dress up like a mosquito. And carry on, jump up and down. And if I jump up and down, you hear me key without misbehaving. I love to dance, but I ain't dressed up like no mosquito. And my pastor knows it, and my God knows it, and my wife rubs a little bit, but we've been together for 42 years, so she knows. Married for 42 years, and I haven't left my family. Ladies and gentlemen, and that one, number three, but they're the top three: education. Education, education, education. When I go to Singapore, and I see what they have done, and they were a small country like us, about the same size, nothing but a swamp. They were a swamp, but they had to build something out of nothing. And we have come a long ways, ladies and gentlemen. With all our faults and all our problems, our country has come a long way, but we have drifted back under this government, and for far too long, and even in my government there were missteps. Not that I didn't try, but there were people who didn't want me to succeed. Them that went against me, cut my throat and thought I was going to die. And now, well, they're still my friends, don't get me wrong, but the man to vote in the East is Robert Bodden. That is who is CDP. Don't forget it. Robert Bodden. We have no other pack. If we had any, we would not have had a candidate, but we got a candidate. And I'm open and I am transparent. I'm telling you, that's who our candidate is. And the rest, Stafford Berry. So you have a choice, my dear friends. You have a choice. I ask you, I hope you take these things tonight and do what Jesus told Mary. Ponder it in your heart. You know what I've been saying is the truth. You know that. I don't talk no lies. This is your future, your children's future. By God, ladies and gentlemen, let's make the change. Let's do what I've said you've been doing. We are like the Israelites coming out of Egypt. We know that the Egyptians are behind us. But we are pushing forward, going forward. We know the Red Sea is there. It is there, but God is going to part it. Where there is a way, God will make a way for us. So I say, amen.